Hello and welcome back to another episode of That Sound Podcast. And if you love music, you're in the right place. Today we are joined by Chris all the way in Colorado. Chris, how are you, sir?
Doing well.
Yeah, man. You're packing your bags, heading up to Toronto now for a good weekend.
I am. Yeah, I fly out early in the morning and I'll go join some of my friends that I see are already there.
Oh, nice, nice. They're getting there. Yeah. Toronto. I was asking my brother actually. He's living in Toronto. Will they close the dome? Do you think in that venue?
Yeah, just because I've been there before, but I was thinking just looking up stuff. I haven't looked up anything recently, but the general consensus that I read was that they expected that the roof would be closed.
Yeah. You'd like to think so because obviously the sound would be better if it's closed.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
I hope so. I guess I haven't heard a concert at the Rogers Center, but yeah, I'd be curious.
yeah. It's a nice city too. My brother lives there. He moved over from Ireland a couple of years ago. He's loving Toronto too. And I was that close to going, but it's a long way to go from Ireland to Toronto for a show. As we spoke off here, I got to travel to Madrid, which you were also at in the summer, I suppose. But you hit up the whole European leg, is that right?
Most of it, I had the I Disappear pass.
Nice.
I missed Munich. Very sad to have missed Munich.
The Lightning.
Joined in Helsinki, so I got Helsinki, Copenhagen, Warsaw, and Madrid.
Right. Any standout shows?
Definitely going back to what stands out first and foremost was going to Poland. My father was born there. I'm getting my citizenship there. I had all intents to go and meet the Polish crew, which I did. Lovely, amazing, fun people. So being able to go there and party with them and go see the shows in Warsaw, where the crowd in 2019, I had no problems with the crowd, but I heard that a lot of people did.
Hmm.
And that very first night, yeah, I was on the rail. I was by drum kit number 4, and I had to fight for my life to keep that rail spot. And then I was rewarded at the end, obviously with Seek and Destroy, but also getting Fight Fire with Fire
Right.
and being like this with Lars in Warsaw. That was epic. That stood out. And then for me, Helsinki as well. Just the sound in Helsinki was just amazing, but it was also weird being outdoors in sunlight at a Metallica concert at night, just because the sun wasn't setting.
Yes, it's a bit different over there, especially up in the northern end. All right, it's funny. Madrid was something similar. I remember it took a while to get dark for Madrid as well. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, I heard about Munich too. The lightning, obviously, and the rain. We talked off air also about two cool guys from Germany that we both know. They told me some stories about Munich too. It was absolutely crazy with the rain. But
Yeah.
yeah. I was blown away. Obviously, I only got to go to the one in Madrid, but when we rocked up to the stadium in Madrid, like it looked enormous. Like it looked like, and I remember walking in and I saying to my buddy, like, "There's no way the sound is going to be that good here. It's so open." But I thought
Mhm.
it was pretty good.
Yeah.
I don't know what you thought, but I thought it was pretty damn good.
Yeah, I didn't have any problems with the sound. I know that. Usually for me, and I was in the snake pit both nights there.
Right?
So I know it's gonna be a little different than if I'm at the rail, and that's good because I can move around. Whereas if I'm stuck by Kirk's spot, right, I'm getting fed a ton of Kirk.
Yes.
Um, so yeah, I remember just I loved it that night. The other really cool sound that night was when Spain ended up winning the Euro Cup and
Yes.
the crowd just going nuts during the
Yeah.
song.
Yeah.
It still gives me goosebumps. That was
Yeah.
really cool.
And you could kind of see James kind of looking around, going like, "What's going on?" Like I'm sure they
Yeah.
knew, but yeah, it was a good moment. And then walking out, we got back into Madrid that night, and my God, the place was just a party. It was crazy. That was my first time in Madrid. It's a cool city. I really liked it, but yeah, man, talking to Timo and Jochen as well, who done a lot of the shows across Europe, I was very jealous to get hear them stories. But I don't know about you, Chris, but like as we call it, an away trip, as in out of your home country. There's something special about it. There's something different. I don't know what your feelings on that. As it,
Yeah,
I don't know, everyone bonds better or something. I don't know what it is.
yeah. I don't know. There's something exotic to it. I don't know, and it's just and it's really cool because going around and traveling around, we see a lot of the same people like in the I Disappear line, but it's different flavors and every, if you're going in Europe versus if you're going in the USA.
Hmm.
That was really cool. But just hearing the way, the way Europeans are going to react to it is going to be a little different from the way that they're going to react to it in the US.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, and I enjoy both crowds for sure. I'm just happy to be there. I'm happy to be abroad.
Oh
And
yeah,
I'm happy to know that I don't have to go to work the next day if I'm in Europe.
yeah. I've done both too. I've done Yankee Stadium. I done the Big Four in Yankee Stadium. I done where else did I done Bonnaroo in 2008 down in Tennessee, Manchester, Tennessee. That was crazy too. And I done the Prudential Center in New Jersey, indoor show. That was the first and only indoor show that I done. And yeah, that was an interesting night. I ended up I ended up sitting next to a lot of, it was about 4 or 5 guys from Hell's Angels.
Oh my goodness. That's that's a
Yeah.
dynamic.
Yeah, and I thought they were winding me up, and I'm like, there was like people around me going, "No, man, they're like," I'm like, "Okay, they're fine. They're not bothering me as long as you don't, you know." But anyway, it was the best sound. That was the Death Magnetic tour, and for an indoor show, I was just like, "This is it. It doesn't get any better." I mean, it was so good, and they were so tight. Then I was like, I wasn't overly the. Do you remember the setup of that tour? The stage was in the middle.
Yes. Yeah.
It was okay for me. It was okay, but it was just the sound. I'll never forget it. It was so good. It was so good.
Those
But
indoor arena shows are the ones that when I leave, because
yeah,
and I've tried I tried and it was even an indoor show in Madison, Wisconsin. I tried to wear earplugs. That lasted a literal 5 seconds. I was like, I simply can't do that with Metallica.
yeah,
But it's those arena shows, where it's just a little more cozy and where
mm,
they've got that sound set up where my ears will be ringing for a couple days. It really hits you.
yeah. No, definitely, definitely. But yeah, like putting in plugs is like cheating or something. It's not right.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. My heartbeat is Metallica, and so it's like if I try to put something in the way, it just doesn't work for me.
Yeah. So when did you fall in love with Metallica?
Back in high school in the 90s, I grew up listening to top 40 radio. That was very vanilla.
Yeah,
Um, and so I really didn't have anything that I could identify with other than the Doors. That's what my father listened to while I was growing up.
yeah. We just
It
reviewed
wasn't
them,
like
man.
he was going to take me to a Doors concert anytime soon.
Yeah,
But yeah, when I was in high school, I met a friend who we had the same interests. We were both in football. We were both playing trumpet in the band. We both loved the San Francisco 49ers. So we hit it off right away. We'd started hanging out at his house, which was near our high school. And he'd throw on some background music, and a lot of the time it was Metallica. And after a while, I was like, "What was that? What was that?" And he was like, "You've got to hear this." And he puts on One, and I was just captivated by One. I was like, "That's amazing."
yeah.
He's like, I was like, "How come I've never heard of Metallica?" And he was like, the only thing I knew was Beavis and Butthead. The guy wore the
Yes, yes,
shirt.
yes, yes, yes.
But other than that, I didn't know the music. And he was like, the Enter Sandman song, "Say Your Prayer." And I was
Yeah,
like, "Oh my goodness, that's those guys."
yeah,
So that's when and of course that's the 90s. There wasn't a lot to look up on the internet. They did have their website. You still had to physically fill something out and send it in if you wanted to be in the fan club.
yes.
So there was still a mystique to them as well as to who those people were.
Hmm.
And I had to go out and accumulate their CDs and find out. And there were just so many different sounds that they had because they had just released Reload at the time.
Yeah, completely
And
different.
and I was like, how is this band the same band that did this and the
Yeah,
same
yeah,
band that did this? Because their sound just continued to change. So it took time. It wasn't something I could just pull up on my phone and say, let me try this, let me try this.
yeah.
So it's cool. I still got to get involved with. I'm going to go all the way into Master of Puppets because this is all I have. Now I'm going to go all the way into Ride the Lightning because that's all I have. Yeah.
Yeah, no, there was something cool about getting vinyl or even CDs back then where, like you just said, you couldn't just jump on Spotify and jump from album to hand. You had to dissect it from start to finish. You know, you found your loves. You might have found a skip that you might skip over, but you really got invested into each and every album. And I love that. And like I see it today, like, and we all see it with kids. It's like next, 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 next. There's no patience anymore. It's just gimme, gimme,
Right.
gimme. But we luckily got to sit with an album. I know I did. And back then, you mightn't have had that much money to buy two or three albums. So a lot of times over here, one buddy would get one album and I get an album. I'm like, okay, I'm going to listen to this for 2 weeks. And then we swap, you know?
Yeah.
But I remember, I think everybody that I chat on this podcast, everyone kind of had a friend or an older cousin or an older someone who, checked this album out, like you just said.
Yeah.
And I remember my neighbor gave me the Black Album. I was born in 1986. So I don't know. I was around, by the time I got the Black Album, I think I was about 10-ish, maybe 12. And I was like, oh, this is good. Like you just said, what's this? I remember hearing Sad But True. And, he kept it easy on the start. So he was like getting my feel. He's like, what do you think? Is it too heavy? I'm like, no, it's good. Meanwhile, he was giving me Iron Maiden and stuff like that as well. But I'll never forget when he gave me Justice.
Yeah.
And even the opening track, I'm like I ran over to him. He lived next door to me. I'm like, what the fuck is this?
Yeah.
And he's like, do you like it? I'm like, do I like it? I'm like, I've listened to it 20 times.
Yeah.
That album for me to this day is Metallica's best. I don't care what anybody says about no bass and bad production and blah, blah, blah. It is what it is. And I love that album. Of course, each to their own, but for me, that album, and I think it's because it was the first one that I got that was on the heavier end.
Sure. Yeah.
And to me personally as well, To Live Is To Die is the best instrumental Metallica have ever done. For just
Yeah.
me. I don't know
Yeah.
what your
And let me tell you, I'm one of the fortunate few that was there when they played "To Live Is to Die" at the 30th, and it was one of those things where because they jumped into "Helpless."
yes.
It was gonna be the opening song. They jumped it. They half-assed "Helpless," and then they stop. And Lars goes, "How about this one instead?" And
Uh,
then they start playing this riff, and then they go into it, and it was a shock of everybody going nuts, and
yeah.
then being like, "But is this real?" Because before then with Dyer's Eve, they
Yeah.
would always go full into Dyer's Eve, and then
Yeah.
they would pull the rug out from under you and be
Yeah.
like, "That's it."
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so when they did that, it was just like it was so surreal. But to your point of and Justice for All, for me, people will ask me, and especially people that don't know Metallica and are asking my opinion. They go, "Well, what's your favorite album? What's the best album?" And I tell them, I would say, in my opinion, the best album is Master of Puppets, but my favorite album is And Justice for All.
Nice.
I
Nice.
hop on an airplane, and that's the first one that I throw on. It's like that's my desert island album.
That's a good start to our conversations, Chris.
Yeah.
Yeah, man, I had so many people on. And of course, music is subjective and everybody has their own. But so many people come on, you know, in the Metallica family will say, and Justice. There's just something special about it. And that song as well, and I've said this so many times on our podcast, but like To Live Is Today, to go back on it, to me, I've never heard a song played with so much emotion. Like James and Kirk, you can actually feel heartbreak as they play it. You can
Sure.
then it turns to anger and pissed off, and like then it goes full circle at the end, and it's just like acceptance. Cliff's gone and life is kind of shit, but we have to keep going. And I just think they just captured everything in that song. So good. So
Yeah.
good. But yeah, so Justice, yeah. So you got to go to the 30th show, yeah. Wow, wow.
Yeah, that was one of the luck of the draws. I see people talk all the time, and they're like, "I've never won a contest," and I was fortunate that that was the first contest I won. Winning two $5 tickets to go to the
Wow.
Wednesday show at the 30th, and then of course we're there, and we find out that people couldn't make it the couple nights before for the first show, They said, so we have these extra tickets. We can't have them go to waste. So we just, we gave them to people as they showed up. And I was like, I wish I would have known that. I
Oh,
was in
wow.
San Fran a few days early, but I had to boogie out the next day, so I couldn't try it for the third show.
What was the venue like?
Yeah, it was the Fillmore.
Yeah.
So it was, it was nice and cozy. We had, I think I remember, yeah, it was Sammy Hagar was on one of the balconies up there having a good time. Got there. I did break away for because there were some guys that were there much earlier that were hugging the rail. So I was
Right.
able to break away, grab some drinks, came back, and by that point, I just got lost in the crowd and hung out as close as I could. And it was just really freaking cool
Hmm.
being in a smaller venue like that and seeing them because also they really let their hair down
Yeah.
with and especially having all the special guests, just the way they interacted with each other,
Yeah.
not having to do it for an entire arena. So
Yeah.
it was really it was pretty surreal.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah, that would have been Jesus. That's a hell of a show. Yeah. Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. Awesome. So there was other big news dropped today from Metallica. They're heading to the Abu Dhabi Formula One. Is it night one or night two? I just can't think of the top of my head. And then
Uh,
I think they're also doing Bahrain,
mhm.
which is interesting. I think that's the first time that they're ever going to go to Bahrain. I know they done, was it Saudi they done? No, where did they play? Where
Was
did
that
they,
Saudi Arabia?
yeah,
The years going,
yeah,
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 December.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, that was Saudi Arabia. So now they're going to Bahrain and then Abu Dhabi. And I believe it's night. I know that the Formula One is like over 3 nights. I think it's night one or night two, and they're just released. But the ticket situation is you have to buy them through the Formula One, right?
Yeah, it was get a concert. Yeah, you have to get the Formula One ticket, was my understanding going through this today.
Yeah,
Get the Formula One ticket, and then that provides entry for the show
yeah,
for the after race concert, and then you can upgrade to Golden Circle
yeah.
to be closest, and also to potentially have it was like to be able to roam around the Oasis, I guess, during the race.
Yeah, yeah. Funny, I was talking to a buddy of mine who went to the Abu Dhabi Formula One twice, and he said it's a pretty awesome experience. Whereas it's free shows, like basically you buy to the Formula One and there's just free concerts. And he's like, to be honest, it would be a killer show to go to because a lot of the people that go to this Formula One, they don't give a shit. They
Yeah.
they won't even go to the shows. Like, so you could possibly get Metallica at like 10,000 people, maybe 20,000. You know,
Yeah.
that's small numbers, when we're talking about Metallica. So I was like, oh, dude, Jesus, don't do this to me. So I'm kind of going, maybe I might try and wing that one. I don't know, is that on your radar?
At first I woke up at 4 this morning to get ready for work, so it was nice and quiet. And I saw the blast for Bahrain and then Abu Dhabi, and I was like, huh. And I was like, well, I was like, I don't have time to think about that right now, but I should have time.
Hmm.
Got through the day, and then I started talking to a coworker, and he used to be a race car driver.
Hmm.
And he was like, dude, that sounds amazing. And I talked to him about potentially going to All Within My Hands a couple years ago. He's not a big Metallica fan or anything, but he'd be willing to go and check it out. But we started talking about that, and I was like, well, what do you think about potentially let's do a trip in December, and we can do some Formula One, and we can do some Metallica.
Yeah.
He was like, that'd be pretty epic.
Yeah.
So I went to go look it up, and I had a friend reach out to me who was also considering going with a friend, and apparently everything had gone on sale right away.
Yeah.
Everything was just everything was unavailable when it came to Metallica, but Katy Perry and whoever the other act was, it was like tickets were still available for those nights.
Right. Yeah. 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 And it's an awesome city too. Like, some people might be a bit, sketchy about what certain elements of whatever, but it's a cool city. And I've been to Dubai as well, and it's like, okay, you might need some money in your pocket, but for the like of that, like even if you get in GA, I still think you can get to the shows. I'm pretty sure you can still get to the shows.
Yeah, yeah. I think as if you can get that, my understanding is if you can get a ticket to the race, you're
Yeah.
gonna see the concert.
And it's not overly expensive. Well, like from Ireland, we'll say, okay, you guys have more to travel. But like you can get a all inclusive package with flights, hotel, and like qualifying and the race day, which would be like a 4 day weekend. Like it would be intense traveling. But like you definitely do it for under €1,000,
Yeah,
which is not.
which to me, which to me would be worth it.
Yeah, yeah, 100%. And that's like a 5-star hotel, like. And then
Yeah.
you have like is it the fastest kind of roller coaster in the world is in Abu Dhabi as well? What is it called? It's like the Ferrari F1. There's some cool shit over there too to see, you know?
It,
Uh,
it looked like it. My buddy said he's because I saw Yas Island and he was like they refer
yes.
to it as Yas Marina, but
Yeah.
it's like take a look. And so I pulled up some images and I was like, that looks like a fun place.
Yeah. It's like Monaco. Have you seen Monaco, the Formula One Monaco? Have you ever
Yeah,
seen it? Like it's basically the Monaco of the Middle East kind of. That's,
I see.
and they're
I see.
just doing everything they can to get new people to go to it. So like when I heard Metallica was there, I'm like, oh dude, I have to book this one and not tell the wife.
Yeah. Yeah, bye now. Ask questions later.
Exactly, exactly. So Metallica just done New York in Syracuse. I got some feedback from some people. I'm sure you did too. What did you hear about the show?
Yeah, so as far as it went, and from my perspective first, it was that night I was just trying to follow the set list as it happened.
Yeah,
Um, I've been seeing all my friends on Instagram who were there. Just there's FOMO on my part, but I know that everybody there is going to have fun.
yeah,
And so yeah, I was watching the set list unfold, and I was like, obviously the big thing that came out before they hit the stage was the presence of James's B Bender. Chad had that out, and
right.
so it was like, oh my goodness, are we going to get Unforgiven 2 tonight?
Wow.
uh, Potentially My Friend in Misery, I don't know, but so then that started to hit the internet. But as far as it went, just seeing the set list, and for those of us that have been hitting those no repeat weekends,
Yeah,
we get really spoiled with how much they can fit in over those 2 nights,
yeah,
and then realize that when they're doing a one-off show like Syracuse, they're going to have to cram some of those. We have to play this every time,
yeah,
the hits that they put in there. So I guess there were only a couple songs from 72 Seasons this time around.
yeah. I have it up here. So like they open with Creeping Dead, uh,
Hmm.
then into Bells, Hit the Lights. I don't think that's too frequent, is it? Maybe it is.
No, yeah, I like when they throw "Hit the Lights" in. That still feels fresh to me for sure.
Yeah, yeah. King Nothing, great
Yeah.
tune, really good. I think we got that in Madrid. Then you got Lux Eterna, Screaming Suicide, and Kirk and Rob did their Doodle, Broken, Beaten, and Scarred.
Yeah, they did "Broken Beat" and "Scarred," and I think there was a drum track being played in the background while they did it.
Yeah,
One of my friends was like, he was like, he was half expecting. He was like, "Why didn't Lars used to come and join them for stuff like that?" He was
yeah,
kind of half expecting Lars to jump out at some point, but I guess not.
right. Because they usually do like a local song, right? Like
Yeah.
yeah. So that's unusual, I suppose. The Day That Never Comes, Fuel, Orion. Nothing
Hmm.
Else Matters, Sad But True, One, Seek and Destroy, Master of Puppets, and then Enter Sandman. So 16 songs. And what do they play it for? They play it for, doesn't say. Um, but yeah, to me, look, I guess, like you said, we're kind of spoiled. We've seen so much, but I guess for maybe new people or someone who doesn't go as often as ourselves,
Yeah.
you're getting everything pretty much that you want.
Yeah.
If I traveled from Ireland to that show, I'd be kind of disappointed, to be honest. But that's
Yeah.
just me. But yeah, the 1 day shows. Where else are they doing the 1 day show? Vegas, is it? No, is the one in Vegas?
They were supposed to do Vegas, and there was a group of there plenty of people, but I had a group, of friends. We were going to go to Vegas, but that
Oh,
was that was that festival that got canceled.
that's
And
right. That's right. That's right. That's
yeah,
right.
but there's a few. Atlanta, I believe, is a one night.
Yeah.
Uh, Blacksburg, Houston, I think is one night. Is Houston one night?
Uh,
But I know there's a few of those sprinkled in along with the no repeat weekends.
but yeah. So Toronto, man, what do you hope to hear? What?
Uh,
Before we go there, Chris, I want to ask you, what is your take on Inamorata on the set list?
My goodness. So now, yeah, to loop a lot of this in together, going back to Munich last year when they first played it, the dry night, the first night, um, I was on a golf course far away in Illinois for a friend's birthday. We were having a golf tournament. We had finished up and we were just out there hitting some balls. And I had a friend from Los Angeles that reached out to me, and all he said was, "Did you see what Metallica played today?" And all I wrote, I didn't have to look. All I wrote back was no. And then I checked the set list, and sure enough, I was like, they dropped Inamorata, and it because I knew I was going the next week, and the FOMO plays in right there, right?
Yeah.
So I was sad I wasn't there. Looked further into the set list, which included Hit the Lights. They played, and I'm going back to 2023. All I wanted to hear was Fight Fire with Fire. I just kept that's all I want to hear. That's what I want to hear that, and they delivered. So then, I after that I was like, I want to hear Bread Fan. I want Bread Fan.
Yeah.
And you see that night that they had, dropped Inamorata, Hit the Lights, Whiplash, or not Whiplash, Fight Fire with Fire, and Bread Fan all in the same set list. I was like, that was my set list. So I was really sad to the point of tears, literally.
Okay.
And my friends were like, he really loves Metallica, you know. So then to come over and hear it in Helsinki was just amazing.
Yeah.
And then the fact that they played it through the rest of pretty much the rest of the year, and I was so happy every time they played it. I enjoyed the hell out of it.
Yeah.
Even in Madrid, I just remember I was able to work my way up to the stage in that third slot, nose to the stage, and just be that close to Lars while they were playing it that night. I don't know, I love it, and I'm happy that we had it
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
far.
Yeah. It was pretty cool. It was pretty cool. It's something special, all right, about it. Someone did ask me a question one time, and they were like, "Okay, if you had the choice, would you take Inamorata out and put two tracks in that could fit into that time slot?" I'm like, "Oh, I think I'd take the two songs."
Yeah, that was the thing with in Munich. They played it, and they still played their 16 songs plus
Yeah.
Doodle. And then yeah, that first night in Helsinki, at the end, it was over, and I turned to my friend. I was like, "That was only 15 songs." And then so then we checked, and I was like, "Maybe not." So then we checked later. Boom, it was only 15. And
Okay.
then I was like, "Well, maybe we'll get 16." And then the other thing was Kirk was getting sick after Munich. I was like, maybe they had to cut it short because
Yeah.
Kirk's. And sure enough, we continued with 15 songs plus the Doodle the rest of the way.
Yeah.
And so yeah, at this point, I'm like, that's the other thing I was looking at in Syracuse. I was like, are we going to be going back to the 16 song set list? And unfortunately, that wasn't delivered because I would love to go back to having that extra song.
Yeah. Yeah. I guess they got to manage their bodies and everything, I guess. But it is what it is. Like, I think we forget. Oh, there goes my poster. I think we forget, how old the guys are, and like they're touring the shit out of this thing, and they got to manage themselves, I guess.
Sure.
And they probably know what their limits are, and we got to stay in between that. Excuse me, Jesus, that makes a lot of noise. I'll edit that out. But yeah, it is what it is, I guess. But it'd be interesting to see if they keep it up. Will it will
Yeah,
they, will they throw it in this weekend in Toronto?
that's the question because we're in Mexico. A lot of us wondered, is this the last time we're going to see Inamorata? And of course, because there's other songs from the album that we want to hear debuted as well.
Yeah,
And then yeah, the second weekend in Mexico, they didn't play it. They brought Whiskey in the Jar back for us.
yeah,
At that cover slot that got eliminated. So that was really cool putting all that together. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see this weekend if we have it or not. And if they go into it, I'm not going to be disappointed.
yeah. Oh, don't get me wrong. It's a brilliant song. But you know what I've never heard, and I'm small numbers compared to yourself, Chris. Like I think I'm 10 shows or something. I've never heard "I Disappear," and
Oh my goodness.
I know they don't do it too often. But
Yeah.
that would be, yeah, I think that would be nice. I don't think it's too intense to play as well, and I think it would fit into that 2 night thing, you know? Um,
Yeah.
I'd love to hear it live. I'm sure you caught it live.
Yeah, and some stuff that I got early, like I disappear a couple times and turn the page,
Oh
and
yeah.
those are the kinds of songs now that that I hear people are bringing up. Like I'd love to see it, and I'm like, you're right. I was like,
Yeah.
I kind of had it early, and I've kind of forgotten about it since. But if they bring that back out now, I'm gonna be pumped up.
Oh yeah, man. But like there's so much of Ride the Lightning too over the last tour, I thought, in Europe. There's so many songs from Ride. Um like I'd love some more Justice songs, but I just don't think the body's built for it anymore,
Yeah,
Lars. But yeah, like I don't know about you, but I know Lars gets his fucking shit, but I think he's on fire.
yeah.
I think
It looks like he's in great freaking shape.
Oh man, he look good. Like he looks fit. All of them do. Like James looks happy, he looks healthy, he's smiling on stage. You know,
Yeah,
they're having fun. And then the news that came out a couple of weeks ago where I know they're probably just telling stories or whatever with Kirk like that they have material ready to go back in and possibly looking at, load reload stuff. I don't know about you, but I enjoy load and reload. I think they needed that kind of step. Not that they needed to do it, but it showed the quality of the band
yeah,
that they're not afraid to dip their toes into different stuff, like hard, I guess you call it hard rock at best, right? Load
yeah.
reload. But there's some of my favorite tracks off them albums. For me personally, I think it's some really good stuff. And I know a lot of people shit on it, but I'm a fan.
I listened to the hell out of both of them, so I love them, and that's it. They're artists. They're like we can create this, and we're really good at this, but we also we want to put other stuff on the canvas, and
Yeah.
this is what you're going to get right now. That's what happened in the '90s when everybody was expecting
Yeah.
the Metallica of yore, but yeah, I'm happy we got it.
100%. And like James's lyrics in a lot of them songs and his honesty and his actual singing, like James can sing, you know.
Yeah.
But what's your take on Saint Anger?
That was it. That was the first album that I got to wait for.
Yeah.
And it was just a long wait with the rehab and the videos they were putting out. It was like, is this thing ever going to happen? And then finally it came out. I'd already heard, yeah, Saint Anger was already the single that was
Yeah.
out. I enjoyed it. We got the teaser of Frantic from MTV Icon,
That's
I
right.
think it was.
Yeah.
And that sounded great live. And it was
Yeah.
like, oh my goodness, I'm getting really excited for this album. And so it came out. The first thing I heard was Frantic. I listened to half of it. It was like, okay, I already know that song. I already know Saint Anger. I'm in my friend's car and we're driving back home. I just picked it up and put it in. And I'm going through and I'm hearing that drum and I'm just hearing the songs. I'm like, let's try the next one. Let's
Yeah.
try the next one. And we get to the point where I was like, I just wanted to hit eject and throw it out the window. And I was like, this is what I've been waiting for.
I know.
Because we all have the expectations for how we hear Metallica and what sound we want to hear on the next album.
Yes.
But then it grew over me that summer big time. I just kept playing it nonstop. And I absolutely love Saint Anger. I'll listen to it front to back, no problem. I'll sing my guts out to it. And anytime I get a Saint Anger song live, I go nuts. I'm really happy.
Yeah, yeah, I'm pretty much the same. I have a love-hate relationship with that album. Similar to you, I remember like counting the days down when it was dropping to the record store and getting it as well. And same thing, I'm like, why does that sound like a keg or something being hit with a rock? I'm
Yeah,
like, maybe they're just trying to be different. Okay, okay. And I keep listening, and just like your story, Chris, I'm like, this is dog shit. And then I'd leave it for like 2 months, and let me go again, and I put it back in. And I remember like the first couple of tracks that really done it for me was Dirty Window
hmm
and Some Kind of Monster. I think is a brilliant riff.
hmm
I know we didn't get the solos or whatever, but it is what it is.
yeah.
it was a difficult time for the band. They had to do something. They had to put something out. It's not their best work, but it's not
Right.
brutal like some people say. Like I
Yeah.
think some people take Metallica stuff like the No Bass Injustice and like Lars is a bad drummer, which he's not, and St. Anger's a dog shit album. I think people just run with that online, and it just
Yeah. It
it,
becomes easy to say, and
yeah,
then they
yeah,
just move
yeah,
on.
yeah. And then when you talk to these people for 20 minutes, they have no idea what they're talking about. So I'm like, okay, you keep your comments and just keep walking.
Yeah.
You know, you know.
I'm sad it's not working out for you because it's pretty incredible.
Yeah, yeah, exactly, exactly. Look, there's, as I said at the start, we all love different things in that, but I definitely think people shit on it just for bar talk or smoking room talk or something. You know what I mean? Um, so back to Toronto then. So you're hitting up 2 nights in Toronto. Do you know where you're sitting yet? Or I'm sure you do.
I've
Are you?
got the I Disappear pass for North America this year, so
Oh shit!
yeah, I'll be going in with the I Disappear crowd. Yeah.
Nice, nice. Does that get you? Doesn't get you in Snake Pit, but you get early access and all that, right?
Yep, yeah. Frantic will go in before us, then we'll go in after Frantic. We'll poach whatever spots are left there around the rail, and then general admission will come in behind us. And I got really fortunate this past tour cycle, just coming into snake pit passes from friends. So it was nice that people would consider me when
Yeah,
they had an extra pass. So it was I don't expect that to happen again, especially at the rate that it happened. But it's always amazing for me to go into the snake pit and just have the freedom to roam around.
yeah.
But also, the time spent waiting to get in with the I Disappear crowd as we go from city to city. That's always an amazing time.
Yeah.
And then getting to the rail, I have no problems with the rail. Absolutely love it. I think I give more energy at the rail than I do at any other spot in the stadium.
Yeah, you got some killer photos too. I was checking out your Instagram, man. Some absolutely killer shots. Did I see that you got a stick from Lars one
I
recently?
did finally, and I say finally. There's another buddy out there that the show after I got mine, he got his, and I think it was like his 81st show.
Oh
And I was
shit.
like, I thought it was going to be on your program. It was my 45th. That was in Minneapolis, night one. And usually I'm just like, hey, but I'll point to somebody if Lars comes in my direction. I've never been really the type to try to fight for one. But that night, for whatever reason, I got really selfish, and I was like, I feel like I deserve one tonight. And luckily, he heard my pleas and he gave me one. So I was so
Ah,
happy to finally collect one.
nice, nice, nice. Yeah, I've the closest I've got. We went to Slane Castle and in Ireland, and I got Gold Circle, and we got lucky. We got in late that day, and I'm 6 foot something. I'm like 6'2" or something. So I'm just kind of, okay, I just wiggle my way up here. And then I was like, bang, right on one of the microphones. And I didn't really do a whole lot of research, but I was like, say 3 people back. And like Kirk was just right there the whole show. And then at the end, the drum kick pops up. And Lars is like, we actually could hear the drums like slightly before they came out on the mics. I'm
Hmm.
sure you've heard that too. And
Yes.
that's when you're like, okay, like I'm literally hearing Lars play. Like this is fucking cool.
Yeah.
We didn't catch. I think I got a pick, but I think it was one of the crew that was just throwing them or whatever. I got one in Madrid. What's the guy's name? What is the guy's name? I met him on the Saturday in Madrid. He's like a runner for the crew. Can't think of his name. And he seen us and he just gave us some pics. I was like,
Cool.
nice, nice, nice. I can't think of the guy's name.
Those guys are nice. Those guys are nice when they see the faces of the crowd they recognize. And
Yeah, me and my buddy
oh,
was in the crowd and we what I can't think of his name. But anyway, we call out his name and he's mic'd up like the show was on. I think Five Finger Dead Punch were on and he kind of just looked up and he seen us. He's like, "Ah, the Irish guys, like, yeah, yeah." And he just like, "Okay," gives a handshake. I'm like, "Shit, nice, nice."
yeah.
It was like night one and night two. But yeah, I'd love to meet the guys. I think if I met James Hetfield, I'd probably freeze up. I don't know what I'd say. Did you ever get close, or have you ever met any of the guys? Or
To right there, what I because I met him in public the first time I met him, and it was with the sole intention of meeting Metallica. But yeah, I joined a Disney on Ice, and I traveled around the country selling show lights.
Okay.
Other people were selling cotton candy and snow cones.
Yeah.
But I joined after I met the guys from Disney on Ice the night after a Metallica concert. So that's what was at the forefront of my brain. And when I got the opportunity to travel, I looked at the schedule and I saw that Disney on Ice was going to be in San Francisco and in Oakland. And I was like, the guys have kids; they might be there.
Oh shit.
So we travel around. We get there. That I joined in October, and we get there in March. And sure enough, James is in the building one day when I'm hung over and putting batteries into these toys.
Yeah.
So I saw his family first, and I knew he was in the building. Somebody had told me they had seen him. I was like, he's in the building. I got to go tell somebody. So I go to open the curtain to go out to the concourse, and there's my rock god and idol, James Hetfield, standing there with two snow cones. And so I was blindsided by him. I did not expect him to be there in that moment.
Yeah.
And so it's immediate cotton mouth, my heart pounding through my chest.
Yeah.
And I could tell that he could tell that I knew who he was. I didn't say a word. All I did was I opened the curtain, I moved out of the way, I let him walk by, and then I had to gather myself. So later on, I'm going outside to call somebody once the show has started to be like, hey, I just ran into James Hetfield. He's here. What am I going to do? And as I'm about to go outside, there's these guys that work for the show that have two bags full of toys standing by the door. I'm about to go out another door. The door flies open. Lars walks in with his sons,
Yeah.
and those bags of toys are for his kids. Um, that kind of shows you the difference between James and Lars. James is sitting, in the seats with the rest of the crowd, buying his kids stuff. Lars has had somebody call ahead, I'm sure, to be like, give them these toys. He shows up fashionably late, and he's sitting, front row in center ice, away from everybody.
Mm.
Uh, but I had the opportunity then. He did break away from the kids, and I was able to walk up to him. Lars, huge fan. So I had him sign a Mike Wazowski globe that you press a button and it lights up. Uh, and so at that point, I was like, I've got to go talk to James. During the intermission selling period, I'm watching James. I'm not going to approach him when he's with his family at
Yeah.
all.
Yeah.
But finally, he gets up, he moves out to the aisle to stretch. And I was like, good enough for me. He broke away from the family unit. I run down there, I go see him. And of course, I just have a small time there. I don't have time to chat, be like, hey, what do you think of St. Anger? Yeah. But it was, walk up, James, huge fan. So happy you're here today. Hope you and your family are having a great time. Would you please sign this for me? And that's when he looks at it. He sees Lars's signature. He starts looking around, and I point. I'm like, he's down there.
Yeah.
He just nods, and then he signs it for me. He didn't say a single word to me, and nor should he.
Yeah.
Uh, but I was just like, I was so happy that that mission was accomplished.
Yeah.
Uh, but fast forward to 2018, I did buy the meet and greet back when you could get all four members.
Yeah.
And so I met them in Salt Lake City. I had time to prepare, and really, what I should have just done with James was regurgitate that exact same story. That's all I should have done.
Yeah.
But you're thinking about what you want to tell them, and you've got so much time. And then I'll tell you, as soon as they walk in the door,
Oh man.
everything, everything just like, yeah, my mind again just went blank. Again, the heartbeat. And I got to warm up with everybody else. Like Lars will talk to you about anything.
Yeah, man. Yeah. Yeah.
He loves the conversation, and he'll make sure that you're a part of it, and he's going to be interested in whatever you have to say. Rob, just easy to talk to. He
Yeah.
seems like the down to earth guy in the band, and yeah, he was really easy to talk to. Kirk, pretty shy. It's like
Yeah.
he's not trying to pull stuff out of you.
Yeah.
And then when James came over to me, it was still like, just looking into those eyes. His eyes are so freaking blue, hearing that deep voice, and then feeling the handshake, and I'm just in awe of his presence. And you don't want to be starstruck in that moment, but for me, I have no choice. And then just to sit there and chat with him and to hear his voice and to know that I have his attention is just I was on cloud nine. And I talked to him about, being a sheriff's deputy, and we started talking about the film that he was going to be in with Zac Efron for Ted Bundy.
Yeah.
and he was talking about having to work on the handcuffing scene and stuff like that. So that was pretty much it. It was pretty much about small talk about what was going on at that time, but I couldn't really, I wish I would have had something better to talk about
I
with him.
know, man. I think I'd be the exact same, and I fucking kick myself because when I went to that magnetic tour in that was around that time, and I
Mhm.
believe that James was still doing the meet and greets then. I think so, and I probably had the money then because I was working around New York and I was doing okay. I was like, why did I not get the meet and greet? Why? I'm like, ah,
Because it was a hard purchase for me. Because I was like, that's really expensive. But
I
I
can't
was like,
remember how much was it.
for me, that this was 2018. It was $2,500.
Yeah,
Um, and I was like, that's steep. But I was like, you know what? I was like, for me, it's totally, it's gonna be worth it.
yeah, it's a
And
box
if
ticket.
I don't do it and I look back, I'll be thinking what you're thinking.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Trust me, man. Yeah. Yeah, I didn't get close at all. In Madrid, we happened, and I don't really like, invading their space when they're, especially between the weekends. But somehow I came across the hotel,
Yeah,
and I bumped into our mutual friend Timo, and
Mhm.
that's when I took Timo for a couple of pints of Guinness. Timo likes his Irish Guinness, but we're walking down the street just before I met Timo, and I seen this big, tall kid with like snakeskin boots. I'm like, that guy looks familiar. And I'm like looking and I'm looking. I'm like, he has to be someone like snakeskin boots. But it was Lars' son. Uh,
uh,
what do you call him?
got Miles and Lane.
Miles. Miles.
Yeah,
So I'm like, okay, what do I do here? Like, and he kind of stopped and he seen me looking at him. And I'm like, Miles. And he's like, yeah. And I'm like, oh man, I love your music. I actually like his band. And because he's a fan of an Irish band over here called Fontaines DC. You're doing pretty good. And I just said, yeah, man, look, I'm sure you're sick of it, man, but your dad's a legend. He goes, I know, I know. I'm like, have a good day. He's like, ah, thanks. But that was the closest I ever got. But Timo bumped into Kirk in Copenhagen, I believe, wasn't it? He caught
oh
him.
really?
Yeah, he caught him in the shop. He was just in getting a bottle of water or something, and he's like, the fuck? He's like, it was just Kirk on his own. No,
Yeah,
nobody, no. But when I done that Ross Halfin Q&A kind of a thing, the picture thing, we done it in Madrid, and um, we had actually this flag behind me here, which has Metallica on it, and
yeah.
the he started talking about Greenie, and of course that was owned by Gary Moore, an Irish guy. So I was like, I pulled out the flag, and he kind of went like this to me. He's like, and he kind of knew what I was doing when he started talking about Greenie. So it's like that. That's pretty cool. But yeah, I even Clint, who we talked about, like he went on the book signing thing, I think, and
Yes.
and even he said like I froze, man. He's like I talked about Load, I think, wasn't it? Was one of the songs on Load Clint talked to him about, and then he bumped into him at a pancake house or something.
And so, well, because what happened was, because I was at that same book signing, and we did meet up with Clint that night.
Okay,
But we were, yeah. Here's what happened. We went across the street after we got our books signed by James. We're all just numb. We're like and it was like, okay, well, we're also hungry. We've been waiting out in line here for a while. So we went across the street to this pizza place.
pizza place.
Uh, we found out there was a 45-minute wait, and we were like, screw that. Well, we'll go somewhere else. So the group I was with, we took off. We were like, hey, let's go check out this pub. There was also a college football game on I wanted to see. So we get there, we go to the pub. The game is on, but they don't have much for food. So we were like, let's go next door to this taco place.
Yeah,
So we go next door to the pot taco place. Clint and his buddy join us there, and we look up, and two tables over, there's Kirk and there's Rob,
that's right. Yeah, yeah,
and
yeah.
it was like, oh my goodness. So we didn't approach them or anything. We were, we'd look at him, but we wouldn't stare at him. But it was just really cool having just met James, had something signed, made out to us, and then just to run into these guys here. And then so yeah, they were there with their assistants, and then they left, and we were like, holy crap, how freaking cool is this?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Later that night, we're walking by to go to the Bastardane show. And as we're going, we're walking back by the taco shop, and we look in the window, and who's sitting there other than James and his family? And it was like, oh, this taco shop is really popular.
It's popping.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Clint said that, but you didn't go in, right? You didn't, or did you go in? Did you try to talk to James? No, he just kept.
Oh no, no, no.
Yeah,
Yeah, at that point, yeah, we saw him. We had our time with him earlier that day.
yeah,
So
yeah,
we counted our lucky stars. We were thankful for that. We saw them, there it's the family unit sitting there
yeah,
enjoying themselves, and it was like we'll get a glimpse of them at Bastardane.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, you obviously went to the show then. How was Bastard then?
Man, I love Bastardane. I really do. I didn't know. I knew just because it was the thing. Yeah, the guys have kids and bands, and I'd heard some Bastardane. I was like, okay, but it was nothing that I had in my playlist. Then when I got to Arlington in 2023, I housed a few of my friends at my best friend's house, and they were like, "Oh yeah, we're gonna go to the Bastardane concert." I was like, "Bastardane Auto." I was like, "Oh cool, I need to see them."
Yeah,
Both of those bands. So we get there early, and they sold out so quickly for the first show that they announced that they were like, "We're gonna play two shows back to back." So we get there early. I have no idea what band is playing. I was like, "Is this Bastardane? Is this Auto?" It's not. I think it's some local band or something. I have no idea. But as I'm right next to the stage, standing against the wall, talking to my buddy, and all of a sudden, who walks up to us other than Rob? And Rob just kind of leans against the wall next to me and is watching, and I was like, cool. So I just start talking to him about college football. He went to UCLA and this and that and this and that. And finally, I was like, is it okay if I get a picture with you? He's like, sure. Take a quick selfie. And it was just like, wow, that made my night. But then hearing Otto and seeing Ty, and I mean
yeah,
that kid's a monster,
yeah,
and they're a great, as they were at the time, a great three-piece unit.
yeah,
And then having heard their music since then and really gotten into it, they've got some powerful stuff.
yeah,
So I really like Otto. And then hearing Bastardane, at the time, their lead singer comes out. He's got all this heavy mascara on. Comes out in this marching band drum major uniform type thing, and then he's got his own persona on the stage there. Uh, but I heard them that night, and the draw for me that night was just Castor.
yeah,
The fact that he looked, and then when he sang during Masquerade at the end there, it was like he looks and sounds like a young James.
yeah,
So that was the immediate draw. But then seeing them going forward and now diving into their new album and this and that, it was like, man, I just really love their music, their vibe,
yeah,
and and when I see them, I go ham for them. They're awesome.
yeah. They're really, really, really good. Really, really good. Are you looking forward to catching Pantera then as well? What's your take on that whole thing?
Growing up in Texas, because they're out of Arlington. Growing up in Texas, they were a big deal when I was getting into Metallica, and it seemed just like a different group of guys that were really into Pantera. So at the time, it didn't hit me immediately. I was working my way into Metallica, and I
Yeah,
was like,
yeah,
that's like a different crowd. Then after a while, it was like we didn't have them anymore, and then I started listening to their stuff, and I was like, whoa. What could have been.
yeah.
And so I was really excited that they were going to be opening and finally getting to see them in person. And I've always loved Zach Wild as well.
Yeah, yeah, he's awesome. And from what I heard, Pantera actually played Dublin. Just before when did they play? Not too long ago, maybe a month or two ago, maybe more. And I
Yeah,
missed out. I couldn't go, and I was fucking pissed off. But I heard
yeah.
like that they were awesome, and I know there's a lot of it's awkward with the family and all that crack, but
Whole drama behind it. Yeah,
it is what it is. But yeah, I'd love to see them. I really, really enjoyed Pantera when I was younger, like, Dimebag. Funny story, actually, I'll tell you quick, was there was this Irish band back in the day, probably the late 80s, when Pantera were kind of glam, before Phil.
yes, yeah,
And They were
Started out as Kiss.
yes, yes, yes. I think he told me they were in Fort Worth, Texas. Okay, so the name of the Irish band were called Mama's Boys. They were pretty big. Okay, they toured America and toured the world and sold a lot of records. But Pantera were opening for them.
Mhm.
So they were in the dressing rooms, and Mama's Boys were in the main dressing room, and Pantera was in the next one, and they're getting ready to go on. And the lead guitarist for Mama's Boys, his name is Pat. So Pat says to his assistant, "Will you tell them guys next door, fucking playing Van Halen very loud? You know, it's I can't concentrate." He's like, "That's not Van Halen," he says. He says, "That's your warm-up act. That's the lead guitarist." And he's like, "Oh shit."
Ah,
So then he said they came out and Dime did his thing and he was like blown away by Dime and they were only kids at the time, he said, but he said they were fucking amazing. He said, like even then, I know they were glam or whatever, but they were still shredding and stuff like, you know, behind the scenes and that. But what an awesome band, pure Texas, man. I just love it. I love the DVDs. I love that. What was the home movies by Pantera and seeing Dime and Rex and Vinny and all the guys, they were so good. But and then Limp Bizkit.
yeah. I saw Limp Bizkit at my very first Metallica show, 2003 Summer Sanitarium.
Oh right.
And so the first three albums have a lot of good memories too, just with friends
Oh,
and
I
like
love it too. Yeah.
yeah. And so it was really cool. I remember everybody was all about the "fuck you, Fred Durst" stuff at the time. I'm maybe it's still the case, who knows? But it was. I remember having a lot of fun, and I remember just because that's I like their songs. I
Yeah.
do.
Yeah. I caught
Um,
them in Belfast in the summer and I kind of went with that nostalgia. I'm like, okay, I remember getting this like at Christmas, you know, I got the Chocolate Starfish album. I'm like, all right, this is kind of, you know, it didn't age well, okay. But in Belfast that day, we had Tom Morello. We
mm,
had, who else played? There was Nova Twins or something, the two girls from England. They were pretty good. And then Limp Bizkit. But like my I won't call it ego, but my maybe snobbiness of like, oh, that album was cheesy or whatever. Man, they fucking rocked the place. Like everybody
yeah,
went back to that
nice.
teenager, you know, everyone was like, you know, it was so good. And they
Yeah,
they were good. They were good. Like the drummer, what do you call him? What's his name? Otto, isn't it? John Otto. And then you have Wes Borland and Fred and the bass player, I can't think of his name. But man, an awesome show. But I'm interested to see what it'll be like, you know, opening for Metallica. It's another ball game, you know. I don't know what way the fans are going to take to it, but I personally went back to that 15, 16-year-old and I loved it. And if I can
yeah,
do that at a Metallica show and then like go get a beer and then be like, okay, Metallica's coming. The Big
yeah,
Brother's coming now. Like that's a good night. And Pantera, I know it's alternating, right? Which
yeah.
so is it one night is Pantera and what do you call them? Um isn't it suicidal tendencies?
Yeah. And then we still have Ice Nine Kills around and Limp Bizkit.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So yes, there's a good mix of music there. Um I wasn't overly impressed with Ice Nine Kills, me personally.
Yeah, I hear that they're probably better suited for being in an arena,
Yeah,
for with like just as large as the setup is for their act and what they
yeah,
do with the show.
yeah,
For me, yeah, personally, it's like I've seen them plenty, and I'm just not really totally into it. That's purely my opinion, but
yeah. I found it hard, especially in Madrid. Maybe it was the heat that day. I'm like, ah,
yeah, it was really hot
it
there.
was hot. Yeah, but yeah, I don't know. It's just yeah, maybe not. And I think their family was kind of beside us, and they were like into it, and I'm kind of going, okay. But I think Five Finger Death Punch, they're a good band.
Yeah,
I think they're really good. The drummer is sick.
yes, he is.
Yeah, he's
Yeah.
really good. Like, and he come famous on like YouTube or something or Instagram. That's how they found him. which is
Oh wow, I
crazy.
didn't realize that.
Yeah, yeah. And then you also got the ex Slipknot drummer then playing with suicidal tendencies, you know. So yeah, man, it's gonna be a hell of a weekend. I'm very, very jealous. So I don't want to take up much more of your time because I know you're busy and you're packing and that. But man, we'd love to have you back on and maybe go through the weekend if you can get some time and talk about what Toronto was like and go from there.
And I'll just say, yeah, about Toronto, because obviously, with like we are talking about the appearance of the B Bender, I
Yeah,
would not mind hearing Unforgiven 2 if they decide they have to bust that out,
yeah,
or if they were just pulling it out to screw with us. Who knows?
yeah. All
Yeah, I
right,
think we already
disappear.
touched on it. Yeah, with like Inamorata, will we have it? And I think we've already got the answer on if we'll get the 16 songs or not. So, but yeah, I'm
Yeah.
really looking forward to it though. I know that even though the set list may have been packed, with the hits and seemed vanilla from the outside looking in, just all the reaction I've seen and just from personal experience of knowing that every time you go, it's an incredible experience. Even if they play all the songs that I've already heard, I still have so much freaking fun and it's always a win.
Yeah, it's definitely, and I'm sure you back me up here, it's more than just the actual show, it's the whole weekend. It's like the day off on the Saturday, and you're in a
Yeah,
new city, and you're bumping into guys that you never met before, but within 5 minutes, you can have a beer and you can shoot the shit for 4 hours, and you have a new
exactly.
buddy for life.
Exactly. Yep.
That's what it's all about. And that's what I love about, like we said earlier, them away trips to new cities or new countries or that. And then you meet new people and it's just music so fucking cool, man.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So man, yeah, go and rock the shit out of Toronto and hopefully get you back on and we go through the show.
All right. Yeah, I'd be happy to do that.
All right, Chris, thanks very much.
All right. Yeah, you're welcome.